Hi, my name is Bonnie Garcia. I'm an instructor here at UTRGV, and for the last 2 years, I've been turning my English 1302 writing course into a giant role-playing game. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what that experience has been like for me. And as I've done that and started to use playing as a meaningful way to learn, I've noticed, it has had an impact on students' autonomy, on their motivation, what drives them to kind of engage in different activities and in their own learning, and a different kind of way that they start to internalize what error and failure is. So I'll talk a little bit about gamification, because that's essentially what I'm doing. And gamification is simply the application of different game mechanics to different contexts, in this case, the classroom dynamics. We take situations or activities and kind of see how they mediate student or people's interactions with each other. So we'll do scoring, tasks, rewards, stuff like that. So why do we play? We play because we want to have fun, we want to engage, and we want to explore. And I'm sure we've played different games with our students in the past, and we see that kind of peak of interest. So I've learned through moments like that learning through this, through play, can give students a renewed sense of engagement in what we're doing in the classroom. So what I've done is built a kind of pedagogy of play. In my writing classroom, we use different kinds of games to explore different concepts, develop new ways of thinking about research and writing, and we take risks, especially without worrying too much about error or failure. So the classroom breakdown for me is we start with character sheets, students get together, they build their groups, we build on research knowledge through a variety of different games as they hunt for secondary sources, build primary research tools as they begin developing their writing. They also play different games, and then they also meet with me throughout the semester. So our character sheets is what we begin the semester with. Essentially, it's a way for them to reflect on their past experiences and what kind of knowledge they bring to the table with regard to their understanding of how research works and their own skills as readers and writers and that kind of stuff. And then from there, we use these character sheets to actually begin the selection process. So early on, that first week, once they've done their character sheets, they'll put their character sheets out for everyone to see, and groups begin to form. People will pick group mates based on their strengths, their weaknesses, their research interests, what they feel they can contribute, and what they'd like help with in the group. And so this creates a really interesting balance in different teams. These groups get together, and what they do is they'll develop an understanding of different readings together. They develop their research questions together. They help each other identify good secondary sources. They help each other build primary research. What I love is that they actually share many of their resources, like people to interview and stuff like that for their primary research. As far as building the research knowledge, we have different games that we play. I won't go into too much detail about it, but we use a CRAP method that allows students to kind of do background searches on their secondary sources, and they get together and build they battle their sources against one another to see who has the most effective sources or the most credible sources in a kind of peer-to-peer battle. It's just a giant feedback critique or a critical feedback session. They also do the same thing with their primary research. So they'll learn about primary research tools and then develop their own, and then in a peer-to-peer battle, group-to-group battle, critically evaluate each other's research tools for effectiveness and things like that. We also develop our writing knowledge. So students will get together, read about what it means to deal with writing a research paper, understand different problems, and then I provide them a variety of options for dealing with those problems. And so they'll go and kind of explore their own issues on their own, and they get together during feedback sessions, which I call trials, to kind of work through what they've self-identified are issues that they feel they're having and would like to further develop with a group of teammates or peers from other groups as well. And that's what you see here is two of the trials that they go through in terms of authority or writing with authority and audience and visuals, that kind of thing. And we end the semester where students develop a functional solution based off their research findings and their end purposes for their research, and that becomes another giant competition where the class votes on some of the better designed solutions to solve the problems students were researching. So there's a lot of competition throughout the course. And then of course they meet twice with me throughout the semester, depending on when they feel they need to meet with me. So whenever they're having a problem with the research or the writing process, they self-identify those issues and then come and sit down with me for 15 or 30 minutes, and I provide them with meaningful instructor feedback at that point in time. So a little thing about what I've gotten out of this, and one of the main things I've learned is that the gamification really gives students a sense of choice. It gives them a sense of autonomy or meaningful choice. When I developed this game, I set in motion a situation in which I wanted to give students as much choice as they could to kind of determine where they go. And when we give students meaningful choice, they start to learn because they determine the outcome. They start to think through, if I go this route, where will it take me and where will I end up? And so autonomy is important for students learning, and gamification creates that sense of autonomy when we start to apply those different games or those different choices throughout the course. So here you'll see in these two images students kind of thinking through the primary research tools that they identified and where that would take them and how that led them to their final end goals as well. So as they start to analyze things like that. And as I'm talking about autonomy and what motivates students, we'll talk a little bit about intrinsic motivation as well. And so most people, the largest argument against gamification is that it doesn't really create intrinsic motivation, it creates extrinsic motivation. Students are just in it for the win or to get points. And I'm not going to say it isn't. It's a little bit of both, though. It's both intrinsic and extrinsic. Yes, students are in it for the feel of the win or to win or for the points, but they also understand what those points actually represent. In this case, mastery or an understanding of how research works and how writing works, and that they are working hand in hand, I think. So an example of that is the discussion that was had between two of my students during a peer-to-peer battle on secondary sources, which I'll let you listen to right now. If I can get it to go.
That's what he's talking about. And this one right here is talking about how prisoners, like how being a prisoner.
So here students are just discussing what gives an author authority to speak on a specific topic. We also have a situation in which students start to rethink what it means to fail or to err. Gamification allows students to kind of, if they mess up, go back, start over without penalty, and that's something that traditional classrooms don't often do, and which I really like about the gamified class. So students are always given the opportunity to do over until they're satisfied with the development of their work without any penalty. Yes, there are time constraints, but the workload is never the instructors and always the students, and I try to make it really clear for the students to understand that. Sorry. So moving forward, one of the things that I was thinking about doing is adding more choice to my course. I'm hoping is that I build it over the summer and build even more into it. I want to create a sense of giving students an opportunity to go through different genres and select what genres they are interested in as they begin to explore that, and as well as giving them different ways to think about writing with secondary sources. So I know I'm not available there. I wish I could be there to field any questions, but if you do have questions and if you do have suggestions, I'm always open to hear from it. So hit me up. It was great having this opportunity. Thanks, guys. Have a good time.